Trek.
What about
Exactly.
May the 6th?
No, that's Saturday the 14th, but that's a
Well, I know
completely
on
different
July
altogether.
4th, they say if you go 4th,
You never go back?
no, if you, what was the phrase? If you go 4th with a 5th on the 4th, you won't go 4th on the 5th. It was like on the 4th of July, if you have a bottle of whiskey or something.
Yeah.
If you go 4th with a 5th on the 4th, you won't go 4th on the 5th. So you're probably going to crash and die. So you're going to.
There's probably a lot of
that's nice
logic in that statement.
That's too much math. I
very
can't.
Vulcan.
Yeah. Shut up and drink.
Shut up, liver. You're okay.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to be saying this week. Hello, Valencia. Hello, listener Diane.
Hello.
Good to see you all out there.
Actually, I'm waving at our the
Don't wave at the screen. Wait, the camera's over here.
Yeah.
Craig and I are actually in the same physical space
Look
this
at
time.
that. Look at that.
It's just another case
It's
of
not generative AI.
Right. We're in the holodeck.
No, that's
as
me.
much as I long for a deep fake right now.
Hey, why don't they use the holodeck and do Zoom calls between ships?
Well, they kind of do.
Yeah.
You see those holograms pop in on Discovery, which
right.
is kind of out of canon, but I guess it is now.
Yeah, and Diane sent a note here saying Disney sent letters to writers who are also showrunners and producers stating they must continue. Well, actually, what they said, Diane, I believe in their letter is that they were asking them to do those duties, which were including like line fixes and so forth, even though that's something they aren't supposed to be doing. It's this whole thing about having a hyphenated job, that you're a writer, showrunner, or writer, producer. You're still doing the other stuff. So, well, since you're doing that, why don't you just do this as well?
Slide into work.
Which is why a lot of the Disney series went back.
I'm surprised they don't get Ron DeSantis to help out. I'm sure he'd be willing to throw in.
What a great idea.
I was thinking more like Santos. I think.
Yeah, George Santos.
Oh, he's got some stories.
He does.
Yeah. I hear he's
All
Karen.
And Kardashian. It's very confusing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to kind of semi-wing this episode because we came up with a concept. So it's kind of taken over the whole thought process of what we're going to do in this episode. And so you get to see the grand experiment as we discuss one topic for the episode.
We're calling this episode 137. It's all prime numbers.
Which is an odd title for the show. It's an all prime.
The prime directive?
I got
hey!
I got
hey!
One of the three here get that.
With my calculator. I'm on it. I'm on it.
Prime number directive. The prime directive number.
Right.
Well, do we have all our ducks in a row there, gentlemen?
Sure. We do.
See what happens when there's a writer's strike?
If it adds up to 47, it's good.
Yes. It does.
This whole thing reminds me of the residual fight of the 70s. Okay. All right. We are ready in 5, 4, 3, 2.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 137 for Friday, May 12th, 2023. Coming up in this episode, we talk about the best, at least what we think is the case, right now on The Topic is Trek. New Trek, best of the first 5 years. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, that woke me up. That little thud going on there.
What
Yeah.
Well,
thud?
hello.
No, we had no thud here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed edition of The Topic is Trek. I am Clinton, one of your co-hosts for this show. And of course, as I always point out, in order to be a co-host, I have to have other hosts. We're in a strange situation this time around because we're going to attempt to beam in two people at once. Now, we have very limited power on The Topic is Trek, so we're hoping that everything is going to go well. So engage the transporter.
I feel like we need a green screen for that or something.
I know.
And I will say hello to both of my co-hosts who happen to be in the
Hola.
same room, Chuck Tomasi and Craig Stepp.
That almost feels like one of Scotty's lines. It's like, we're beaming 3 targets to 2 locations with 1 at Transwarp Drive. It's like, whoa, slow down, dude.
Yeah, slow down.
Hey, it's better than 2 targets to 3 locations, so that's got that going for
Do
him.
we have a catchphrase, Craig?
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
That'll work.
Remember,
don't
the
know if
topic
he's-
is Trek.
I don't know if he's talking to me or you. You're the one
That-
with the beard.
That's what Riker said to Picard, I think.
Ah,
Season 2, episode 6.
Riker said that to Picard, not the other way around. Okay. It's
They're all
interesting.
full-
Well, you know, hey, it's like calling a bald guy curly, you know?
I'm not. No. I can go down a deeper trail than that. You don't want to hear it.
No.
It has to do with Lefty. I'm just going to leave it there.
So we're
Yeah,
not
that's
having our traditional show notes this time around, our traditional stories, because we are going to be talking about what we consider to be some of the best episodes from what I, for the purposes of this title, called it New Trek, essentially all Star Trek that is premiered on CBS All Access and Paramount Plus.
But see,
And
I found a
also-
loophole
Oh,
because I wanted to talk about the TNG characters, and I went, wait, they were in Picard. That was in a season in the new Trek era, so, right?
stretching the
Sure.
boundaries.
No,
There we
And the
go.
Guardian of Forever showed up, so we can do City on the Edge of Forever again and again and again and
Oh,
again.
dear. Oh, this is just going to go horribly wrong, I can tell.
You came up with the rules.
yeah, just see what you
Yes.
do.
But they keep changing them on me. That's the problem.
That's the nature of the temporal directive.
And before we started the show, in the chat that was going on here, because we do record live on Thursday nights at 9:30 Eastern, listener Diane asked if we were going to talk about the writer's strike that's going on.
Yes.
And we did have some articles that we won't get a chance to get to. The main thing for as far as Trek goes at this point is it is definitely going to delay the beginning of filming season 3 of Strange New Worlds.
Mhm.
They were actually, I believe, scheduled to start filming the day the writer's strike started.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it was very recent. Like, yeah, it was like right in the last few weeks. So yeah, that would be right.
So we obviously want the writers to get appropriate compensation for what they're doing, especially in this ever-changing landscape of how long seasons are. Really, when you think about the fact that a writer used to be able to at least be on staff for 26 weeks. Now you're lucky if it's 10. And then you're up looking for another, you're essentially unemployed again, looking for another job. A lot has changed in the landscape since the last time around in these negotiations. So while we definitely want to have more Star Trek, and we will be getting some very shortly, we also want to make sure that in the real world, the people that need to take care of home and family are
Yeah.
taken care of as well.
Yeah, I mean, these are the people that, you know, sit there and come up with those stories that the actors act out, or even the SFX, developers have to put all this stuff together. But these are all stem from their imagination, and when they're putting their imagination to work, they should get paid for it.
Right. I mean, we kind of riff off of what they do as well, because let's face it, if they're not writing it, we can't review it. We can't talk about it.
That's right.
All right. So all that said, And you notice I didn't even have to ask who permission to do Subspace Chatter because we're not doing it this time around.
Yeah, he's off this week.
You know what he would say?
What would you say?
Subspace Chatter.
Looks like we don't have any for you, Charlie. You
Yeah.
win.
All right,
Ah,
get out of here. Where's
yeah, you should just go now.
Kick him out anyway. We just have to.
You're out of here.
Most excellent.
Feel fulfilled.
All right. So as I said, what we're going to do this time around is we're going to talk about the shows that have premiered on CBS All Access and Paramount Plus over the past several years. A couple of very quick statistics. The first episode of what I'm calling New Trek for these purposes was on September 24th, 2017.
Shortly
Star Trek
after we started
Discoveries.
this podcast. What a sense
Yeah.
of timing. What did
Yeah,
we
that-
do before Discovery came out?
We just argue between ourselves.
Yeah, pretty much.
About Discovery?
Yeah.
So that was the Vulcan Hello. And if you recall, the Vulcan Hello was actually on broadcast television for its premiere,
Mm-hmm.
followed immediately by episode 2, The Battle of the Binary Stars, which was on CBS All Access. Kind of trying to get people to go over there. And the most recent episode was just on April 20th, 2023, Star Trek Picard, The Last Generation, which my math was correct. That's 155 episodes
Wow.
of New Trek
Nice.
across 6 series
Wow.
in the last 5.5 years.
That really puts things in perspective because I wouldn't, if I had to guess, I wouldn't have said 155 or anything. I don't know. I don't even know what number I come up with.
But
6.
we
Yeah,
want to talk
3.
about, we just want to give so I asked Chuck and Craig as well to think about, with all these different series, and we've certainly talked about every show that's been on since Discovery, what do you consider to be some of the best of these 6 series? We don't necessarily have them in order, and we're not saying we don't like other episodes as well. I actually was having some trouble narrowing down my
Yes.
list. I think I
Yeah.
I had at least 8 or 9 that I could have put into the top 5. So I cheated and made mine 6. But these are just some of the ones that we think are the best. We're going to kick things off with Craig. So we'll go Craig, myself, and then Chuck.
Okay.
Because Chuck was busy working on other things. I just have placeholders for Chuck, so he'll be talking about the episodes that he's going to be talking about.
The black screen of
Yeah,
death.
that's right.
All right, so let's begin with Craig. Your first pick.
Yeah, so I thought this one set up a good tone for humor in especially the Strange New Worlds show.
This was
So-
on my list.
So this is
Darn it.
This is obviously Strange New Worlds, Spock Amok, where Spock and T'Pring swap their bodies.
It's Freaky Friday
It was Freaky
on
Friday.
Strange New World.
And that they did such a great job playing off each other. It was ridiculous. And there were times we were in stitches, and times I was feeling for T'Pring in Spock's mind while he was sitting at the table. And I was like,
That
wow,
was-
they're doing such a good job.
I was feeling for Pike.
What I'm saying is I was worried about what T'Pring was going to say, but I'm looking at Ethan Peck, his body. I'm like, they did such a good job playing around. So I thought that episode was fantastic. I don't remember what we actually rated it on, but thinking back on it, that was a lot of fun.
Well, you bring up an interesting point as we're going through these. If you were to go back and look at the way we rated different episodes, I would not be surprised if ones that we didn't necessarily rate as high might make it to this list, because my feeling is always you review it in the moment, the way you feel about it right then.
Yep.
But then when you revisit it, you might have a completely different opinion about it. You might like it more, you might like it less.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, they played those parts so well. Even when T'Pring was doing her job, but Spock was in her head, I was worried how Spock was going to pull it off. It it was messing with my head a little bit.
Right.
You know, I was just watching.
That has to be a special kind of acting that you have to do for Ethan Peck to do Spock being T'Pring. You know, that's just got to mess with your whole psyche, and it must be fun. I when you get down to it, it's got to be fun when you know the writers tell you, "I guess what you're doing on the next episode."
Right. And
you know, you, but not you, but you.
And also, if you think about it, there's these actors are still trying to work on. I mean, Spock's pretty well established, but same time, he's trying to make Spock his own to a degree. And of course, T'Pring we've rarely seen up until this point. So
right, I think this was her second appearance on Strange New Worlds.
I mean,
she was in the pilot.
The character's barely been established. What? How many times have we seen T'Pring?
She was only in that one episode of original series.
Yeah, right. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah. So to pull off a couple of characters like that in this situation, I think I did a great job. Anyway, okay, I'll leave it alone.
Okay. Well, I've got a feeling we're going to be revisiting that episode a couple of times, so don't worry about it. All right.
Right.
I will go to my first pick, and mine is Context is for Kings from Star Trek Discovery. This was the third episode of season 1. I'm not going to remember all the numbers of which seasons they are, but this is the first episode after our 2-part opener. I said the first hour of which was on CBS and the second hour was on Paramount Plus. And at the end of that episode, Burnham is put in jail for treason. And okay, where does the series go from here? And where the series went was a really hard turn. And this episode, right out of the gate, was all over that hard turn. You have Burnham as a prisoner, and the other prisoners on the shuttle that she's on don't like her. And when they're in the mess hall here, they're having a fight amongst themselves. You have the introduction of Stamets, grumpy Stamets. We get hippie Stamets later on. So you get grumpy Stamets early on. We get Lorca, we get the tardigrade, and we get to find out that why does Lorca want to have this tardigrade on the ship?
Did we introduce the tardigrade as early as season 1, episode 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I thought that was a bit.
That's
later.
when they started talking about it.
Okay.
The first 2 episodes, am I not mistaken? The first 2 episodes really didn't deal with that much until the 3rd episode.
Well, the first 2 episodes you don't even see Discovery.
Right. Yeah. It was a prequel.
Right. Yeah, it's a prequel. It was in a way. Yeah.
In a way it was. Yeah. So there's just so much going on in this episode, and it set a tone for a lot of the first season. Now that tone has shifted over the years.
Yeah.
But I feel like this was a good, solid episode. I've always felt as well that CBS, Paramount kind of blew it, that they needed to show episodes 1 and 2 on CBS, because episode 1 is kind of half of an episode. A lot of Klingon speaking Klingon with subtitles. You know, you don't get, it's not.
You start to get wrapped up into it if you're new to it. And plus, it was kind of weird to have this, hey, catch episode 2 on our streaming service. You know, it's a weird kind of, I mean, I get it, but
yeah, marketing ploy more than good for the story and good for the viewers. All right, so that is my first pick, and insert just blank slide here, but Chuck has his notes. So.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to ignore the fact that Craig stole one of mine, but I'm going to go with my first one that I wrote down. Music to Make the Sanest Go Mad from Discovery, where Harry Mudd comes back with his time crystal watch and goes into this loop and kills the crew over and over and over again.
That was good.
Yeah. And Stamets, you know, he plays a key part in resolving this, but he's got to get other people involved. So I like this one from an originality standpoint. Yeah, we've been in time loops before, but never with this. No, never quite like this. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Well, I think one of the interesting things about it, excuse me, is that it is a new take on what they did in the original series when they all had the contagion and they were delirious and doing things that were like subtext of their nature.
Right.
And you have this is a way to draw out some of these characters by doing the same thing over and over again and learning more about the characters each time you're doing the same thing.
No.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I thought you were going to reference the TNG where they were stuck in a time loop, where the ship comes out of some subspace phase and hits the nacelle and the Enterprise blows up. Abandoned ship, all hands, abandoned ship. Boom. That sounded like we were yelling for abandoned ship.
Yeah, well, as you pointed out, we've had this kind of a trope many times in Trek. But it was definitely a fun take on it.
Harry Mudge felt like he was playing with the crew.
Oh, and let's point out Rainn Wilson. I mean, I think he did a great job.
Yeah,
making this character his own, because nobody could fill the previous shoes. So I think he did a great job with it. And man, that guy grow a beard. Got a great beard.
It's all for Stella.
Yeah,
it's all for the beard. All right, let's move on to Craig. Pick number 2.
All right, so I like this one, this Children of the Comet, because when they think they're doing the right thing, they weren't quite 100% doing the right thing, but I think that Uhura had a great part in this, and I like seeing her come into her own when she's trying to figure this out, all this music, the coding, trying to translate, and I think they did a great job showcasing her. So.
Yeah, and it was also an interesting take on the bad guys and what their belief system. Well, who were painting as the bad guys, and that the comet needs to just keep moving, even if it's going to destroy this planet, because it's be free, comet. Go about your business.
Well, I think even I wouldn't label them technically as villains, but at the same time, I would say that I think some of the best villains, and we've seen a lot of them lately, in Thanos and Marvel and some others, where the best villains are the ones that think they're doing the right thing for the right reasons, and that's what drives them, rather than just being mad about something, and being driven by hate and whatever they want to do. So I think those are some of the best villains, and again, villains as well, antagonists, I guess, should say. So there you go.
And you're always the hero of your own story, so that's
I know I am.
All right. On that note, let's go on to my second pick, which is No Win Scenario from Star Trek Picard.
Hey, nice screenshot.
Good
by the way.
Screen grab. Good screen grab.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on in that shot there.
Yeah. Is he looking at Picard with that gesture?
Oh yeah,
I noticed that right away.
In all ways, he was looking at Picard and signaling.
Wait a minute.
Verbally and otherwise.
I can hear what he's saying right now.
Exactly.
No.
So I really like this episode because this episode was trying to deal with a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
You had Riker's inability to commit on what he wanted to do because he was trying to keep everyone safe.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody seemed to have an issue. And the person that you're kind of really forgetting about in this episode until the scene is Shaw, because you view Shaw one way completely, and you're manipulated to think of him that way, which is good because you've now formed an opinion with very little information about this character, just the way he interacts with like 2 or 3 people.
Yep.
And you find out, there's a whole lot else going on there that's an issue.
I formed an opinion about the actor when I met him on the cruise, and it totally changed my opinion of the character.
I think that they did a great service to this character. One, Todd did a great job pulling him off.
But they killed him. Spoiler alert. They killed him.
I know. Well, I mean, but they did a great job drawing out his character because you liked him, but you kind of hated him at the same time. And then you figure out what his motivations actually are. And then yes, that twist did work.
They did something. They fooled us before with Lorca too.
Yes.
Yeah. So kudos to the writers for doing it again.
They should get paid more.
They
Oh,
should,
wait.
They should.
Work.
and hopefully
Yeah.
they will.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to. I think that's what Chuck.
I'm
You're
I'm
second.
jumping around on my list. This is not
Sure.
number 2. I'm actually going to
No,
number 5
that's
just to
that's
bring in
fine.
something
Yep.
different.
That's fine.
Hey, by the way, I see this black slide and I'm start hearing the overture from the motion picture. Not that one.
No. We can't. We don't have the rights to that. Don't.
I'm going with Prodigy Time Amok, where the ship was fractured and the crew had to work together in different time, not just different times, but different like time speeds. One was going faster than the other. And it really brought the crew together to show how they could cooperate to accomplish a goal. They've had to do that in other episodes, but I thought this one really spotlighted that for me.
That was a good one. I like that.
Right. They had to basically find each other, if you will, in all of this.
I mean, granted, hologram Janeway was kind of helping orchestrate some of this, but they had to do a lot of figuring themselves.
And then we get that reveal at the very end that we still don't really know how long Rock Talk was alone. Just
that's right. He was there enough to change his the way he talked about himself.
Her.
I'm sorry, her.
I'm
sorry. I was thinking of Jankum. Where he started referring to his name all the time.
Oh,
he always said his own name.
I know he said it for a reason because nobody, the robot couldn't remember his name.
Oh, that was a different episode.
I know it was a different episode.
That's when they were giving their backstories.
I know. Okay. I'm just saying. Yeah. Well, he was alone for a long time.
And I think we talked about this before. This is another concept where very early. Well, it's not super early, but it's pretty early in the 20 episode season, and so you have to really flesh out who these characters are. And this is helping you do that by seeing this building of the crew and trying to work together on stuff. So to become one unit is one of the goals that you want to have. Obviously, that's one of the missions of the show, is to show cooperation and everybody working together as a team. And so you have to have the characters go through the pain of figuring out how that works and make that happen. So I definitely think it worked on a lot of levels. Excellent. All right, we're going to go to
choice.
Thanks.
Greg's choice number 3 here.
Oh yeah, we'll always have Tom Paris.
The two stories in this one.
Two stories, yeah, and actually, the whole Tom Paris thing with Boimler was great. The other story I really liked was Tandy trying to get the box for Tiana.
No, the family heirloom.
I'm sorry. Yes.
And then you find out what it is and what it's used for.
Yeah. Woo. But yeah, that was a fun episode. Got to see some of her homeworld. You got to see a little more Tom Paris from Voy.
Get to yeah, but that saves so much time. I'm glad you said it that way.
Voy became a thing on that episode.
Yeah,
and right. We even heard that on the cruise at points too. People use it today because it was used there. That just cracks me up.
And I did enjoy seeing the Ryans a little bit more, even though and how Tindy, was it her uncle? Was that her uncle?
We're not all like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
made him do what she wanted.
Tendi says to Mariner, "Okay, you'll be fine. Just speak like a pirate." Arr! So what's up? Why are you talking like that?
that was a fun episode. Yeah.
Excellent. And you can buy the plate. I can't remember. I seem to remember some people got the plate, but then I saw something about the plate, or I don't know. So if you're lucky enough to have gotten the plate, congratulations. If not, I guess they're making more.
They have a limited run or something like that on it.
Well, limited runs of things that's kind of fluid when you say limited run. What does that really mean?
I'm gonna pull it up on eBay.
Oh God, don't put it up on eBay. It'll be like $1,000 on eBay.
I'm sure it will be.
All right, let me go on to my.
We have some comments in here before we continue on. Does the 150 check the little box? Does 155 include the short trek? Okay.
Yes, it does. It does.
And look, Gary Lindros thinks we're in the mirror universe.
So Chuck and Craig in the same room. What kind of mirror universe are we in? I can just hear Gary saying that.
You should have grown the goatee.
I got you covered. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, he's the goatee.
I'm sorry,
guy.
you're the only one here without one. What? Intruder?
I'm from the normal universe.
Intruder alert. Intruder alert.
Here, where is it? We have an imposter aboard.
Greg, you need the agonizer booth. So
Yeah.
We have an imposter aboard.
Exactly, Spock. All right. So my pick number 3 is Supernova Part 2 from Star Trek Prodigy. This is where they went someplace that I did not see them going. And I thought it was a great breaking the norm, because you have them destroy the ship at the end of the first season and take hologram Janeway with it.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, that is, a kid's show where this has been the mentor of the show. That's some big stuff going on.
I think we can stop referring to this as a kid's show.
Well, I mean, it's on Nickelodeon,
Nickelodeon.
and they pitched it, and they intended to be an entry point for a younger audience. So actually, I don't think of it as kids. I think it's like teens, maybe, or just slightly preteen type of
our age group.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know.
Mentally, perhaps.
Our mental age group.
I would have sat. Nice. I would have sat my 8-year-old daughter down with this at the time.
Oh yeah. If I had a daughter, sure.
I'll save you a click. I had the same thing. I included part 1 in there. I thought the 2-part ending was really good in how they, wrapped up the end of the season, and just surprising, like you said, with destroying the ship and Gwyn saying, "No,
she's
not going with you."
Yeah.
What? Like, my people need me.
Yep, a lot of things, and we also have one of the villains gets away.
Yeah.
So they can come back at any time as well.
Of course.
So,
even if they die, they can come back.
I mean, this definitely made it something where you go, I really want to see the next season.
Yes.
And
They left us on a good note, but they left us with a hook.
Absolutely. All right. So let's move on to Chuck's pick number
That
3.
was my pick 3. I said I'll save you a click. we have similar tastes. None of us conferred on any of this.
No.
Craig's hit one of mine and you've hit one of mine, so I'm down by 2.
Sorry,
That's okay. The goal wasn't to like come up with all different ones. It was just what do you think are
the Guardian of Forever?
Yeah. Well, if you pick Spock Amok again, well, also, what did you like about it? I'm sure
we already said what I like about it. It was part of what you liked about it.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know if there
was on first.
I was gonna say if there was something else that you wanted another aspect.
No, I enjoyed the way the actors interacted with each other as the alternate characters.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fun, creative way. It, like you said, it was when we started getting more, I won't say comedy or levity, but a little less serious on every episode.
Situational comedy.
Yeah. Than we have in previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Pike always brought, Anson Mount brings a character to Pike, and he has a certain way of, when he says something like, that's the way a real manager or a real boss or a real captain would say that, to be more personal with his crew. It's like, yeah, take us over there.
Yeah. Right.
Out there, that away.
Now, I don't want Strange New Worlds to get too silly off the rails, but I do like the humor that they've been bringing. So, of course, we're talking about Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds. That's going to be
Lower Decks is supposed to be silly. Strange New Worlds.
I know. No. We got a crossover coming up.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I'm saying. It's probably going to.
It's going to be a roller coaster ride for sure.
Yeah.
That's going to be like when we put Comedy Forecast together with Technorama at Dragon Con.
No, that's a disaster.
That's the peanut butter and chocolate of.
It's the opposite of the roller coaster.
It's standing in the line for an hour and a half waiting to get on the roller coaster is what that is.
Yeah.
People stand an hour and a half to get in our show, only because we forgot to unlock the door.
Well, that's a different story altogether. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. All right.
Let's move on to Craig's next pick here.
Yes. Now, I was hoping this was going to come up a little sooner because Davey Sitter had asked about the short treks, and this is one I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought I love Rainn Wilson anyway. I thought he pulled off Mud perfectly, or at least his iteration of it. I thought I loved it. And this was an interesting choice, when he goes back on the ship and you see all the iterations of himself. I think this is a great a little short episode, and I've seen it I've had to go back and watch it a few times.
I gotta go back and watch short tracks. I only remember bits and pieces of a couple of them.
The Calypso one, you remember?
Yeah.
I keep waiting for Discovery to land, mix into that one. That's going to be a long tail, but yeah, you should go back and watch them. There's some good ones in there.
Mhm.
Yeah, for that very reason, Calypso did not make my list because I feel like they dropped the ball on
Squandered
it. It
Yeah.
made it's cheapened it a bit. I mean, I don't want to get into a lot of ones that
No,
I
I see that.
pick, but so an interesting point in case you had forgotten, probably didn't, but Mike McMahon wrote The Escape Artist.
That's true. I forgot about that too. You just said so. That's right. He
So,
sure did.
It's kind of a lower decks feel going on there.
How did you feel about it?
Good. What's that?
How did you feel about this one?
Oh, I liked it. It kind of messed with your mind, about what was going on. It's like, okay, then it kind of ends. You figure what's going on, and then it's, there's another twist going on here and there, and all these things in your mind. You're trying to reconcile what has happened to Harry Mudd, because he keeps having these flashbacks to all these different times he's been captured and so forth. But it turns out that it's I don't even know why he has that memory, because it's not him. It's this guy and this guy and this guy that those things happen to, including the guy that's sitting there right now with one arm because the other arm got pulled
He told
off.
himself about it. That's why he remembers it.
I see. Yeah, it was definitely fun. I think that it was definitely in the vein, just like the what was it? The Trouble with Edward. Kind of.
I love that.
Oh, God. Craig loves that one so much he made a T-shirt.
I did. I made a T-shirt based on that
Edward's Taqueria.
Yeah.
To get the same
It's
off the
one of those
wall.
things, I cracked myself up over it, and I just had to make it.
You had a couple people on the cruise congratulate you on that shirt.
Yeah, I did.
All right, let me go to my.
By the way, it's available in my store if you want.
There you
You
go.
have a store?
Yeah, it's on TeePublic. Yeah.
All right.
They haven't banned you again?
No, they didn't, because it doesn't have.
We'll have to have a link in the non-show notes.
Yeah, that'll be the only link.
The only link. You can't miss it.
I got 2 Star Trek shirts. The other one says the replicator's broken, and all I got was this lousy T-shirt. Now, I thought that was funny too.
But how did he get the T-shirt then if it's broken? I don't know. Anyway.
Whoa, paradox.
Let's move on, shall we?
Lousy shirt.
My pick number 4 was the episode Monsters from Star Trek Picard.
Mhm.
And this is the one where he's sitting with his father, although he doesn't realize that for some reason at the first part of the episode when it's a therapist that he's talking to, or someone who's supposed to be clearing him for space travel. And we get the very slow reveal of.
It's because he looks like Gaius Baltar.
Yeah, well, that's another story altogether. Literally, it's another story altogether.
They crossed over.
He has a plan.
We get the no, it doesn't. We have the Picard as a child, spending time with his mother, and he views his father as this evil person. And again, like we've seen in a couple of these other episodes, what conclusion you're drawing is not necessarily the conclusion that you should be drawing from this episode. It turns out that Picard's mother had some mental issues and didn't want to deal with them, and his father was trying to do the best he could.
Yeah.
So it was really, it felt to me like a very much an old fashioned, good old TNG episode that's just delving into this one thing. I mean, this is a 10 episode series, but it felt like this was almost isolated as, and even there were other things going on, but almost isolated as just like Brothers was, of trying to deal with Picard and trauma that he has.
Yeah. Because how many times could you think back on a childhood memory and the way things actually were was not the way you remember it. You
I
know,
didn't have a traumatic childhood where my
No,
mother was locked
I'm
up.
not saying traumatic. I'm just talking about in general. So I could see where
I recalled I just had this discussion last night with my parents about a photograph that was in the newspaper, and I said, "I was 5 years old, I remember this picture being taken and why, and the color of my shoes, even though it's a black and white photograph." My dad had no clue where that picture came from. My mom remembered something about it, but yeah, and
she was in it.
they're in charge of their faculties at this point. It's not like they're, off the deep end at the already, but, so I was the source of information from a 5-year-old. Now, how much of that was what a 5-year-old remembered and how much was true?
Oh, yeah.
That
Right.
eh, since nobody else can contradict my facts,
You're all of a sudden true.
I'm the source.
So it's true.
Well, also keep in mind, Chuck, that for you, it was an incident that happened to you. So
It was
therefore
very
had-
important too
Right,
for a
so-
5-year-old to be in the newspaper on
But-
Mother's Day.
how many siblings did you have at that point?
8.
Okay. So for your parents,
8.
might be harder to keep track of your thing that was important to you in that same way.
That's
So-
true. Somebody could have had a piano recital that evening that was more
Yeah,
important.
you should cut your parents a little slack. They had 8 other ones to chase after.
It was cat herding the whole way. Anyway, where were we on this?
Well, we were
Oh,
going on to
what-
your. Oh, you had more to say about.
Yeah,
Munch?
well,
Go ahead.
just my point was that Picard remembered certain things of it in a certain way, but he didn't have the whole story. Is what I was getting at.
It's not like falling in love with your grandma's sex ghost.
No, or any ghosts with the. We
All
won't
right,
talk-
good night, everybody.
let's not talk about TNG and so forth. But that's Beverly's problem. We're not going to talk about that.
Hey, that's when we're talking about old Trek, not
What
the
was
new
that?
Trek.
That girl on the cruise had like, "Don't sex shame me for Nana's ghost" or something.
No,
That's brilliant.
Ooh,
yeah, she was carrying around the lantern. Yeah,
And the tombstone.
and the tombstone.
a deep cut in too many ways.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
Death by
All right.
1,000.
Well, we're
deep
going to move on to Chuck's pick number 4.
Pick
Oh.
number 4.
Blank.
Well, this is actually my pick number 5 because you guys picked off a couple of them. This is Strange New Worlds. List us where suffering cannot reach.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where they had went to,
Well,
Pike finds his old love and they start talking and they go, "Oh, this is a great place to live.
You should come here and when you retire and just live here.
This genius little boy that we've been taking care of, who basically turns into the keeper of the Matrix on that planet."
yeah.
And he doesn't know what he's in for. He goes, "Yes, I'm going along willingly," and then he catches a view of the old dehydrated Eveready battery that's on its way out.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be the next Energizer Bunny.
Yeah.
That was disturbing. The ending of that one really was. So I liked the way that Pike, was in conflict with this. Like, I can't destroy their world, but I can't destroy this boy. And I liked this one. It just was all. It was emotionally touching for me.
Now, this is the kind of Star Trek I like to see sometimes, where they're wrestling with their morals rather than, or a point of view rather than a villain. Somebody's trying to, shoot him out of the sky.
Right, because you have to decide, was there a villain in this story? Because the child volunteered.
Right.
No one was attempting to punish him just for the sake of punishing him.
Is the society the villain for needing that role to keep their whole culture and planet alive? It's like, certainly there's got to be another way.
That's what I'm saying. I liked it that it didn't have somebody with an agenda. It was very open-ended to make you think.
Right.
Absolutely. All right, let's go on to Craig, your pick number 5.
All right. And are we talking about I'm going to talk about the 2 episodes.
Yeah,
back
go ahead. Because when Craig sent me his list, he had both of the next to last and last episode of the season of Picard together, and I misunderstood and put one here and one is his next pick. So
that's okay. I'll talk about them both a little bit. So I liked Vox, the whole setup. Even though, well, for one thing, of course, Picard season 3, even though it had some flaws, I thought it was I really thoroughly enjoyed this. I was looking forward to every episode. Now, when we got down these last 2, I liked the whole setup. where you didn't quite see the whole deal with the transporters. Was a vehicle for the Borg to be backdoor assimilating everybody. Um, you finally see where Jack's going with everything, and it's a big setup for the finale. Of course, the finale you get all the good feels and even a poker game at the end. So I thought, even though I kind of see them both together because it's a two-parter part of this series, I loved. Really liked this one, but the last episode I really loved. But I think they set each other up very nicely.
Right. It was because we knew something was going to happen. I mean, it was clear it involved the Borg, and there's this when there's Borg, there's got to be assimilation. How is
Mhm.
that going to be happening? And there's something we definitely know by this point. There's a lot of stuff with DNA and all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. But then to just kind of piece it all together just in time to be able to do nothing about it
Yeah.
because they've, now this, Frontier Day has begun and the signal is sent out and everyone turns.
Everybody engaged. The other thing, I feel kind of stupid, but I think I may have talked about this when we reviewed it. But when they did the fleet formation and um, they were setting that up, I went, "Oh, okay, that's pretty cool." Wait, no, it's not.
Right. Everybody went, bad idea.
Yeah.
It took me like two beats. I went, "Oh, cool." Wait, no, don't do that. No.
No. That bad thing
Yeah.
there. All right, let me go on to mine. My next one is A Quality of Mercy, which is the season ender for season 1 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This is the episode where Pike is visited by future Pike, in which the future Pike has saved the crewmen on the training cruise. He has not been irradiated, but these decisions plunge the Federation into a war that just drags on and on and on and on, because he has stayed on the Enterprise and Kirk has not had a chance to take over that role. We see Kirk in this, but Kirk is on a completely different ship, and he makes the right decision for Pike the way Pike leads, but it's Kirk who made the right decision for what had to happen. And I thought it was a really great way to revisit this episode. I didn't like necessarily every way they executed with the actors, all the dialogue, but the overarching concept of this, to show that you are meant to do a certain thing and somebody else is meant to do something else. And destiny works in strange ways. So that also gives some resolution, a closeout of something that we were very concerned about. Excuse me, that Pike would remain fixated on this forever, that he would constantly be trying to figure out, how do I save the cadets? How do I save the cadets? How do I save the cadets? And now he knows that he has to resign himself to his fate, but he doesn't have to dwell on that. It's going to happen. He knows it's going to happen, and he can work towards at least getting past it for now. I think when he's on that training mission, it might be a bit harder to deal with, but hopefully by that point he'll have realized far enough. And it was also a great setup because we've wondered forever, what could Pike possibly have done to make Spock so loyal to him that he would risk court-martial by stealing the Enterprise and getting Pike to this planet. And now we know the answer to that question. It's retconning it in, but I think it was retconning in a very, very good way.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way,
Good call. Good call.
And by the way, Pike can pull off that TOS movie uniform.
Yeah, it's a slight take on the Monster Maroon, but it's pretty nice looking.
Hey, have you? A little side note. I know y'all seen this. There's a picture floating around that has those uniforms right there, but there's like they're color accurate
Oh yeah.
to the ranks. I'm like, why didn't they do that? I thought it looked kind of neat.
I don't know. So we're talking about it's a picture of the TOS actors from the movies wearing the red uniforms, which are
They're in court. They're in the hearing. Yeah.
they're basically called Monster Maroons because of a whole lot of issues with those costumes.
Mhm.
But they are, so if you were dressed in red in the original series, you have a red version of it. If you were dressed in yellow, you're in a yellow version, blue in a blue version of it. So someone has gone in and color changed the uniforms to match that.
Yeah.
It felt like, and I know it's because some of it is the retouching and it really wouldn't look that way. It felt colorful, but in a weird way.
It
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, it did. I thought I thought it looked interesting and it made you go, huh? Why didn't they do the colors? Anyway.
Yeah, because in the movies, the colors were on the underlying collar,
Right.
blue
Right.
or gold.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. And we will go on to, let's see. Here we go. Chuck.
One
do you have
more. Okay, I went to the well and I pulled out a lower decks that I loved, Reflections, where Mariner and Boimler are doing the recruiting booth. Well,
Yeah.
Rutherford is confronting his reflection. And I love this because it really gave us some insight as to how Starfleet recruits.
Yeah. How
at a
labor
booth?
Yeah, at a booth and
career fair.
and apparently you have to lose it to gain any respect. The storyline with Rutherford really gave us some closure to these glitches he's been having for the last couple of seasons. Going, what's up with Rutherford? You
Why
go,
does he like beer
oh,
so much? Yeah.
Yeah.
and the way
That's right.
he had to reconcile that. I liked this one from a couple different angles. The humor and the insight, the backstory, really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. And I know that the next one I have here is the other half of what you gave me before, Craig. This is
Yeah.
The Last Generation.
Well, they gave you all the feels from the Generation cast, so
Right. You had your Lord of the Rings endings that just went on
yeah,
forever and
it's
ever
funny
and ever.
that y'all went to Mordor and through the ring.
Epilogue
Yeah.
14.
Oh yeah,
Poker game.
Yeah, that was funny.
Epilogue 15.
And part of the credits started to roll, and I was like, maybe I should. For some reason, I feel like I should wait. And there was another little clip. I'm
Marvel's
like,
got you trained well.
Yeah, pretty much.
All righty. And I think I have one more picks in here. Yes. Wedge Dudge from
This was
Lower Decks.
that was close on my list.
So this is the episode where we get to see the lower decks on a bunch of different ships.
That's right. Vulcans.
And I just thought this was it came out of no place again, and it's like nothing we'd seen before, which is always a plus.
Yes.
You have you stretch it in a different direction, and you get to tell basically the same story, but with completely different characters, and how every one of these different ships handles the concept of just the workers on the ship. And of course, the picture I have here is just the Borg drones just in their cubes. They just stand there the entire time. That's it. That's all they do.
Well, all the other ships, all their lower deckers were all very similar too. The way they all acted. And then of course you see this, and they're probably doing the same thing, but just in their head.
In their minds, they're doing
They're just backup storage.
Yes, backup storage. That's right. That was a good one.
All right, that's our picks. Unless you guys have anything else on your list?
This is a scary thought. Am I alone in worrying that Chuck is the sole source of information?
Nope.
No. No. Oh my gosh.
No, you're not
I'm
alone.
the sole source of color commentary. That's
right.
There we go. All right, so now we're going to move into our warp speed roundtable with an appropriate sound effect.
Oh, we want a sound effect. How about that?
What are
are you mumbling about?
Oh,
I had no idea, Eric.
always a favorite.
No idea. All right. So as a complement to this, what we thought of as our warp speed roundtable. Well, Craig, why don't you? I think this was your idea, right? To have this one for the character.
To have this,
If you could dive into a character from New Trek,
oh
pick a list of characters you'd like to see more of, or backstory of, or
yeah. Well, I'll tell you. I've got 3. I don't know about you guys, but I
Okay.
got 3.
Right.
All right. So,
Okay.
some of the new Trek characters that we wanted to take a look at a little bit more. Of course, I want to see a little more of Captain Shaw. I think we didn't, even though we saw a good bit of him. I would like to see him when he's an engineer, or because it seemed like that was really his first love.
So you're saying what Seven did was maybe Seven put him into like a photon torpedo tube and just said, "I'm gonna find a planet where I can just
regenerate
Well,
him.
they grabbed a cryogenic tube and threw him in there, and maybe somebody will come along and find him later in the future.
Good
Or
job, Seven.
You want to hear his backstory, is what you're saying.
I want to see a little bit more backstory. I think that'd be good. I also had. You mean just go through all 3 of them? I got.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Harry Mudd. I want to see more Harry Mudd. I think what we saw was fun and compelling.
But yet there were gritty moments too.
Yeah. I'm saying I know. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
When we were introduced to him in Strange New Worlds, no, Discovery, he was when he was locked up, it was Discovery, right on the Klingon prison ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
That was sorry, when you put Pike in Discovery, my brain just kind of mashes everything together.
Crossing the streams.
Yeah. So, but that he was doing what he had to do to survive. It was Harry Mudd underhanded stuff.
Yes.
But it
pointing at anyone else to get the beating rather than himself. Yes.
Right. Yeah. But later when you see him, even on TOS, he's more of the profiteer kind of guy. How can I make a buck? That was survival. This was yeah. So I think he's a multifaceted character, and I'd like to explore more of that.
Oh yeah.
And how he got that way. In a way, it's kind of like Better Call Saul. How did Jimmy McGill get to be a lawyer? From a con artist to a lawyer. I know we're going off on a darker show, but Donna and I are rewatching this series now, and I kind of feel like there's the same thing that would say you get these flashbacks, and we could do that with Harry Mudd as to his origins, or show us a scenario where he first learned how to do the coin trick with his hand or something to make a buck. There's stories to be explored there.
Yeah, I want a Star Trek. Better Call Mudd. There you go.
No, Star Trek. My name is Mudd.
That's with 2 Ds, I'll have you know.
Right.
2 Ds. That's right.
Yeah, well, to me that really harkens back to I really wish, although I don't think they're going to, I really wish they would bring back short treks.
Those were great, weren't they? Those were fun to watch.
I wonder why they only did the 4.
No, they did.
I think they were intending
8.
to do more, but
they did 9 total.
Yeah, there was two sets of them.
Really, I don't remember.
And then
I think I do need to go back and watch them.
And also because the last one was a short trek, but it was that piece Children of Mars, which was kind of the precursor to Picard.
That's right.
Right.
Here's a character I think everybody would like to see again. Laurel.
Yes.
Definitely.
Mary Chiefo needs a job.
Yeah. I thought for sure we'd see her back or somehow, especially with Strange New Worlds, because that's in that same time frame and she's there.
Right.
So
I think there's still time for that. I mean, we know we see Klingon. Now that's interesting because we know we see Klingons in season 2 of Strange New Worlds because we saw that in the trailer.
Yep.
And they're Klingons that look like the motion picture Forward Klingons.
Yes.
But they're definitely existing at the same time that now even in
Clinton, we don't talk about that.
But I mean even in this universe version of Trek, right? They are existing in the same space. So you could, in theory, have a way of dealing with that in a story that had Laurel, and it's like, okay, how can we know basically how we can have this type, but how does that all merge together? So that would be a fun thing to do with Laurel.
Yeah, I would like to see her come be around for at least maybe a couple episodes or over time, pop up. Those are the three I had that I could think of.
I put down that I would like to have Elnor back.
Yeah.
I feel like we got season 1, and then in season 2, he dies pretty quickly, and then he's back at the end.
Yeah.
And
they basically wrote him out of the whole season.
Yeah.
There's more to explore.
Yeah. I'm surprised they showed his face.
Because I felt like, if they had him back, that it would be great to have him on the Enterprise, because he plays off well against Raffi. They said that back and forth about, oh, honey, you have no idea what's.
Yeah, well, they had a special relationship. Their characters did too. So yeah.
So I would definitely like that. I also would like to see back. I want to see back Patton Oswalt as Spot 73, the little animated cat from Girardi's office. We'll get some animated adventures of Spot 73.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What about you, Chuck?
I had I'm going to start with a character, and then I'm going to go into some races that I want to see more of.
Okay.
First one I want to see more of is Linus. I want to see more about the Saurians. He intrigues me for some reason because he's so different. And, aside from when he's got a bad cold.
Well, yes.
He's barely said anything, but he's interesting.
Well, it's interesting because he was, going back and watching all these episodes of Discovery, he was in several scenes in the first 2 seasons, and then it just kind of faded away.
Yeah, there's a lot of crew members like that on Discovery that we could dig into. The Adosians, we don't know much about them. Obviously, we have Eric's.
Yeah.
And we had an appearance on Lower Decks. It's like they're teasing us.
Well, we always said that we would love to see Eric's on the bridge of the Enterprise.
Yeah, he could see. That's another one of those that's in that timeline.
Yeah.
Bit. Yeah.
Yep. I want to know the origin story of the Borg. Who started tinkering to come up with that recipe? And
it's a Soong.
I was going to say the same thing. Stupid Soongs.
One of them dang Soongs.
Pick one anyway. It doesn't matter.
Ran down to Radio Shack, stuck a battery in his ear.
Why does he refer to his name was 8 Song?
But not just the origin of how they got there. What inspired the Borg to take on this? I'm almost going to say like nomad, to find a technological, make perfection out of technology and biology, and what challenges did they have along the way? Certainly their early assimilations could not have gone all that well.
Actually, I think we've seen that an example of where the Borg came from.
Did we?
Yeah, the Packlids. They were looking for technology to make them go.
They were the Borg gone wrong.
It's where the tree diverged.
The Borg and the Packlids. And then I'd also like to see more about Rock Talk's race. We know her origin story from the fight scenes and the flashback episode. I forgot what it was titled, but actually,
her uncle's the Thing from Fantastic Four.
Not quite, but we know that her translator voice is much different than her natural voice. It's like a big growly voice, and then you get this little girl voice coming out of the.
It's like on Police Academy. Remember, what was her name? I forget her name.
Yeah, the quiet, shy young lady.
Yeah.
What was her? She finally broke open with, like, freeze,
dirtbag.
Yeah, that's what it was. I've got Rock Talk image.
No, let's not don't mix those two up. It's
welcome to the topic is Police Academy.
Yes.
Here, we'll give you one of these.
Yeah.
So I think there's lots to explore in some of these nooks and crannies.
And we have the nice thing is that as you mentioned, we've seen these characters, these species showing up in little bits and pieces here and there. So there definitely is hope that you might have something that does concentrate on them a bit more.
Or it's always room for fanfic to go nuts.
Well,
Yeah,
fanfic does go nuts all the time.
Well,
so
the professional writers are out, so might as well.
We can always use more stories with American Express in them.
But that's another story that we do not want to talk about.
Talk walks up to an ATM.
Yeah. Beats it up because it took her car in her car.
That book was kind of like,
Did you read it?
the Star Trek V Final Frontier of
Yeah.
paperbacks. It's on my nightstand. I haven't had the courage to open it yet.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I thought it was entertaining. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what we have for our favorite episodes from the first 5.5 years of Star Trek streaming. I know it's hard to believe it's already been that exactly, Eric's. What do you think? You have some other suggestions of favorite episodes?
Wait, you didn't talk about your characters.
I did. I said Eleanor, and I said.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eleanor. That's right. Now I'm sorry. Old man mode. Sorry.
And Spot 73.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. All right.
So let us know what you think, if you have any particular favorites or characters you'd like to see more of from hopefully, something that you think would be nice to see coming up in one of the shows that we have, including maybe it could be something that shows up in Section 31. Maybe it could be something that shows up in Starfleet Academy. That one of these races could become, one of the species that is in the Academy. Who knows? They reeled them in.
31's also a prime number. 31's a prime number too.
Oh,
I'm a good driver.
Yeah,
I'm a good pilot.
Prime directive.
I think it's time to end things.
1, 2,
All right.
5, 7, 11, 13.
So we are going to refill the dilithium chamber while we've got a chance and try to warp on out of here. You can find me, Clinton, at Comedy Forecast, all one word with the number 4.com. And I'm all over the interwebs. You can't swing a podcast without hitting me on the interwebs someplace.
I was going to say like a dedication.
That would be cruel. That would be very, very cruel. All right. We've got a comment here from Dan about that subject here. It says, I think it would be interesting to see if the girls from Children of Mars went on to be in Starfleet.
Oh yeah. That'd be interesting to know.
Well, it'd be interesting to know because they would have been Borgified if they had been.
Oh yeah.
Something about that.
The Office.
Way to bring the show down, Clinton.
Yeah, well, I just was working out the math, and I figured that would be a problem. All right, and where can we find? Who speaks to you guys for you guys about where we'll find you?
Are you on me too? All right. So you can find Chuck and I at his house.
You can literally draw straws.
Yeah. Just
rock, paper, scissors.
I love rock, paper, Spock, lizard, whatever the heck that was.
All right, well, here you go. Chuck and I also do a podcast called Technorama, and you can search Google for Technorama Podcast, or you can search Bing, for all I know, for Technorama Podcast, and you'll find us. And our website's at chuckchat.com. And like I said, you can find us at pretty much any place you find your good podcast, your great podcast.
That's right.
That's right.
Don't be good, be great. All right, so it's time to hit the theme, boys. If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Twitter at The Topic is Trek, visit our Facebook page, or visit thetopicistrek.com. Until next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek, don't
put on the red shirt.
Oh, crap. I should take my own advice.
I guess we'll be seeing Craig again next time.
Recording has been stopped.
Woo-hoo.
Hey, Clinton, you got to see that. Hold on. I love the interface when he's recording. I'll show you this. Don't say anything, Chuck. I'm listening to you.
While you're doing that, I'll give you the setup. I was at the dentist yesterday, and they said, "Oh, would you like the laser treatment?" Because there were a couple of places they wanted to,
Good night,
fix up.
listener Diane.
Good night, listener Diane.
Good night.
Here, we'll